It's Friday and it's PFT, and that typically means I am by myself because Chris Sims, even though he's full-time, for him full-time is still only 4 days per week. We got to do something about that. But I'll muddle through some of the topics that we either didn't get to on Friday's PFT Live or I didn't get to explain maybe the way I wanted to because Peter King and I were going back and forth, and it's good to have a dialogue, but sometimes when you have a dialogue, you can't have the monologue that you would have liked to have had. So a couple of things coming up that I want to really emphasize my point on as we get ready for the league meetings. But I have to start with something that we didn't find room for in the program because I wasn't quite sure how Peter would react to it, and I just thought the better thing to do is defer it to PFTOT, and that is the comment from Cam Newton on the Late Late Show with James Corden that he's giving up sex for a month. In March, I hope this is an adult crowd. It looks like it is. No climax is what Cam Newton said. Now, is this 1972? Is he being trained by Mickey from the Rocky movies? I remember hearing back when I was a kid that boxers are supposed to give up women, that it's supposed to in some way weaken the legs if you're, living a normal life. And I thought that like 40 years ago, people realized that that's not the way that it works. But Cam Newton apparently has either undergone some groundbreaking research that I'm not yet aware of, or he's just completely got it all wrong, which is entirely possible. Either way, the Cam Newton project for March. And I don't need any updates from Cam. I'll take his word for it. But that's what he's planning to do in the hopes of focusing his mind, which really was the basis for one of the Seinfeld episodes. George, because his girlfriend had mono, was unable to have relations with her, and he became smarter until he gave in to the allure of a Portuguese waitress, and then there went George's mental acuity. So I don't know. Maybe Cam Newton was just watching TBS the other night and he saw a Seinfeld episode and that gave him the idea. Either way, I don't think it's really going to make a difference. And I don't think even if he believes it's going to make a difference, it's going to make a difference. One thing that won't make a difference is the competition committee's approach to what happened at the end of the NFC Championship game. And we all know now that that is what has served as the catalyst for the competition committee putting together a proposal that would enhance replay to encompass certain things that currently aren't covered. Specifically, 3 types of fouls: pass interference, illegal contact with the defenseless receiver, or roughing the passer. Now, the proposal from the competition committee, it's not the rule yet. The owners have to vote at least 24 out of 32 in favor of it. The proposal only applies when a penalty is called, which means that the specific scenario that has prompted this entire exercise isn't covered by the new rule, which means that it could still happen again. And the next time it happens, what the NFL is going to hear is that you should have fixed this when you had the chance, when you were put on notice, when it was made obvious to you that you have a problem, you did not fix it. And here's what the NFL needs to worry about when it comes to officiating. The NFL needs to worry about the expansion of legalized gambling. The NFL needs to worry about having more and more opportunities to see how officiating can go badly and not fixing it. Because I guarantee you, Peter King thinks I'm premature on this. I don't. I guarantee you that one of these controversies is going to be the one that results in a congressional hearing, just like the one that happened 10 years ago over concussions. And congressmen and congresswomen will be asking questions, one after another, 5 minutes at a time, at the commissioner, aimed at getting him to explain why the league hasn't done more to end up improving officiating, to avoid these problems. Because as gambling is legalized, more and more Americans are spending their hardworking money on gambling, and we need to feel like this is legitimate. It's on the up and up. For years, the stock market has been regulated by the SEC, which ensures that trading is on the up and up. And if the NFL is sending out these warning signs that something is wrong, at some point the people who are representatives of all of us are going to poke around into it. And people say, don't they have better things to do? No, they don't. The protection of average Americans is what they are there to do. And if there is any type of corruption or negligence, malfeasance, whatever, as it relates to the professional sports that will provide the basis for gambling, that needs to be a concern. So the NFL needs to clean up its own mess, or Congress will clean the mess up for the NFL. And the worst case scenario is the creation of an agency like the SEC that would be responsible for overseeing The NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, any professional sports. Do we really want that? And I know people will say, oh, come on. The government really doesn't regulate anymore. Look at what's going on with Boeing. That was a point Peter King made. Yeah, here's what's going to happen. A situation like Boeing is going to send the pendulum, or pendulum if you're Chris Sims, all the way in the other direction and cause more regulation. Look, this is not a political comment. This is a recognition of which way the wind is blowing. And the wind is blowing blue, folks. And if it blows blue, that means there's going to be more regulation. And that means it's going to be more likely that the NFL is going to get called on the carpet if there is, when there is another one of these officiating blunders. One person who could save the NFL from itself when it comes to improving officiating, using replay, using a sky judge, getting the owners on board with the changes that need to be made to prevent a repeat of what happened in the NFC Championship game is the commissioner. Will the commissioner do something in Arizona? Will he do anything in Arizona aimed at fixing this problem? And I think we need to take a broader look at the life cycle of the commissioner before we come to a conclusion here, because there is a chance he's just counting the days until he's done. He's got 2 projects left: new CBA, new TV deals. Once he does that, he's out the door. And I think he can look at the number of seasons he thinks he has left, the number of games that will happen under his watch, the number of postseasons, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe only 2, who knows? Depends upon when these deals get done. But maybe he thinks, you know what, why am I going to take up this fight when chances are we're not going to have another situation like the one we had? Especially because all he's got to do is tell Al Riveron, hey, next time something like that happens, you get in the ear of the referee and you say drop the flag, regardless of what the rules say. So maybe the commissioner just doesn't want to take up the fight, doesn't want to step into the fray. He's been burned enough by things that have gone on over the last 5 years. He's just sliding into the finish. And it's the next commissioner who would be the one, most likely, who is called into Congress and who has to deal with this threat that the NFL could be facing as it relates to governmental efforts to regulate football if football can't do a good enough job of regulating itself. All right, as it relates to overtime, we know that the Chiefs have proposed a twist on the rule that would guarantee a possession for the team that kicks off to start overtime if the team that receives the ball to start overtime scores a touchdown on the opening drive. As it currently stands, a touchdown ends the game. Here's our proposal, and I'll write this up and put it at PFT, and it's very simple. Regular season, go back to sudden death. Go back. I was always fine with sudden death in the regular season. Stick with sudden death in the regular season. I'll give that one up. No big deal. Because, yes, it's unfair if somebody receives the kickoff and goes down the field and kicks a field goal and walks off. Fine. In the regular season, it's more important to get the game over with. And it's more important to not have multiple possessions and to not get worked up about the outcome. You had a chance to win in regulation. If you didn't win it, then it's on you. In the postseason, it's different. In the postseason, the season is riding on the outcome of the game. If you lose, you go home. If you win, you go to the next round, or you possibly win the Super Bowl. So why shouldn't both offenses have a chance to possess the ball in that setting, in that scenario, even if it means the team that gets the opening kick scores a touchdown and the team that gets the next one scores a touchdown to match it? And I know after that it becomes sudden death. Maybe that's something they need to take a look at as well. I don't know, maybe in the postseason. Once we embrace the idea that regular season is sudden death, we can do anything we want with the postseason. Maybe the postseason continues indefinitely until someone is ahead and someone is behind. Maybe you force everyone to go for 2 after that first drive. Or maybe you just go with the college system in the first place, which is what they maybe should consider. But that's not my proposal. My proposal for now is this. I'm keeping it simple in the hopes of getting the attention, the very unlikely hopes of getting the attention of somebody actually in a position of influence. Regular season, back to sudden death. Postseason, if you score a touchdown on the opening drive, the other team gets an opportunity to match it. And after that, it's sudden death. I'm not going to get crazy here. I want something that is going to be better than what we currently have. And that's better both in the regular season and in the postseason. Clay Matthews, now officially a member of the Rams, had his introductory press conference on Thursday, and he said something that kind of surprised me because I thought the Rams were going to plug him in as an edge rusher, just like he was early in his career when he did his most damage for the Green Bay Packers. But Matthews embraced the idea of playing inside as well, something I didn't think he liked in Green Bay. He said his position is going to be fluid with the Rams, so don't assume he's going to have a bunch of sacks. He could end up playing inside. He's going to be wherever Wade Phillips wants to deploy him. So to the extent that you thought, like I did, that Clay Matthews is going to go back to 2009, 2010 when he had 24 and a half sacks, I believe. I could be wrong. I think it was 24 and a half, maybe 25 sacks in his first 2 seasons. He's not going back to that necessarily. He could be going back to what he did later in Green Bay, which is playing in the middle, which means you're going to have fewer sacks. Unless the presence of Aaron Donald makes it easier for Clay Matthews to slip through the middle and sack the quarterback coming through one of the A gaps. So something to keep an eye on, because it's not going to be Clay Matthews from the edge necessarily. Could be Clay Matthews from middle linebacker and doing everything that middle linebacker would be doing in that 3-4 defense. That's it for this Friday edition of PFT OT. We'll be coming at you next week from Arizona. Can't wait for that. Can't wait to see if the owners wake up and make some meaningful changes where those changes are made. We all want to see the game grow. We all want to see it get better. And one way to make it get better is spot those obvious flaws and find a way to fix them and repair them and make the league better, make the game better, make it more exciting, make it more fair for everyone involved. We'll see you from Arizona. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.